And now, Dapper Drams presents Fresh Takes with LeeEvolved.
Hello, welcome to Dapper Drams. I'm LeeEvolved, and this is a new segment called Fresh Takes. If you take a look over my shoulder here, you'll see a portion of my very extensive whiskey collection. I've got a lot of rare bottles, I've got some travel retail exclusives, I've even got some discontinued items. Heck, I just got a lot of whiskey in general. And generously, Paul and I thought it would be cool if I were to take a bottle at random and open it up on camera for you guys. Give you a bit of a first impression. We'll talk a little bit about the bottle, maybe a little bit about the distillery. I'll try to give you some pricing guidelines and even point you in a direction if you're trying to acquire a bottle for your own collection. Each of these videos will try to be in and around 10 minutes, and I'll do one every month or so, maybe even more frequently if you guys are interested. That said, let's get started. This first bottle is a blended whiskey, and it's called Serendipity. All right, now that we've selected our bottle, let's pop the top and give ourselves a pour. Ooh, gotta love that sound. All right, and while we give that a chance to open up a little bit, let's talk about the bottle.
Much later.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this bottle. Like I said, it is a blended malt Scotch whiskey, and it has just two components, Ardbeg and Glen Moray. You'll also notice at the bottom of the label, it carries an age statement of 12 years. That is the Glen Moray part of the blend. Now, the story behind this bottle is that it was completely accidental. Ardbeg was in the process of bottling a run of 17-year-old, and the bottling plant operator accidentally released the Glen Moray into the vat before they were done with the Ardbeg. And the folks at Ardbeg didn't want to let that whiskey go to waste, so they bought the entire contents and took it back to Ardbeg and initially offered it to committee members only. They sent out a pamphlet with a order form and an apology, and I believe the bottle sold initially for about 30 pounds. Now, the interesting part of this bottle is the fact that if you know your Ardbeg history, you'll know that the distillery was closed from 1981 to 1989. And this bottle was filled in 2005. So a little bit of math tells us that if they were bottling 17-year-old Ardbeg in 2005, that means it had to have been distilled between 1987 and early 1988. Well, you can't bottle anything if your distillery is not operational. So what that tells us is the juice in this bottle, along with the early bottlings of the 17-year-old, contains much older juice. It's got to be from at least 1981 or earlier. And that makes this whiskey at least 23 years old. And that brings me to the reason I have these three bottles sitting here. These are the older bottlings of the Ardbeg 20-something. This is the 21-year-old. This is the 23-year-old. And this is a very old bottling of the Lord of the Isles, which is 25-year-old Ardbeg. Now, a quick search will tell you that these bottles are retailing for between $500 and $600. And bottles of Lord of the Isles are currently selling online and at auction for over $1,000. And you can pick this bottle up through auction or at some stores in the UK for between $120 and $175. So if you think about that, you're getting to taste some Ardbeg that is just as old as this for about a third of the price. And that's an incredible deal. And with all that exciting information about the Ardbeg, which makes up 80% of the blend, let's talk about what could possibly negatively impact the flavor of this bottle. And that's the Glen Moray 12. Obviously, Glen Moray is chill filtered and has added coloring, and this bottle was blended down to just 40%. But enough speculation, it's time we go in for a taste. This pour's been sitting now for well over half an hour. Let's see what we can pick up. The nose is initially oak and a little bit of sherry and not a whole lot of Ardbeg. I'm kind of surprised there. I don't get a lot of smoke. I don't get too much sea note, sea salt. It's oak and a little bit of sweetness. So let's see what the taste brings. There's the Ardbeg. Definitely that barbecue brisket, a little bit of campfire, and the salty aspect of it. You can tell that the majority of the blend is Ardbeg because the little bit of sweet sherry that you smell on the nose is not really there in the palate. It calms it a little bit. It's definitely not an intense whiskey, but having tried the 21-year-old Ardbeg, it wasn't very intense either. I think all that time in the cask really mellows the smoke. That said, I was hoping for a little more of an exciting nose than what I'm getting. And my first impressions of the finish is kind of lengthy and luscious, smoky, with some oak cask. That's the predominant note, is the oak cask and a little bit of vanilla. Let's try it one more time. Yep, definitely. It's definitely Ardbeg. I can't really say I can taste whether it's a very well-aged Ardbeg. It's not harsh, but a lot of the Ardbeg characteristics have probably faded with all that time in the cask. So it's a really, really good blended whiskey. And like I said, you're getting 23, 24-year-old Ardbeg at about the third of the price of these boys here. So it's worth a buy. It's worth a try if you see it at a bar. I'm not going to give it a score because this was a neck pour, but I will be writing a full review and giving it a full score on distiller.com. You can search for me at LeeEvolved. I'll be giving it a full review probably within a week or so. So if you want to see the changes that maybe it makes over the next week or so, you can check my review out there. That said, if you like what you just saw, please like the video, maybe subscribe to the channel, tell a friend or two. And if you've got any questions about the Serendipity or these other Ardbegs, leave them in the comments below and we'll try to get an answer to you. In the meantime, that's it for the first episode of Fresh Takes. If you like it, let me know, and we'll do another one real soon. Cheers.